Welcome everyone to today's webinar and thank you for joining us. Today I am joined by my CPE colleagues Mitzi Holland, who is the director of our Kentucky Advising Academy, and Heather Fazey, who's going to keep our meeting running smoothly. My name is Robin Abear and I'll be the host for today's webinar, where we're going to explore two of the most common early post-secondary opportunities that are available to Kentucky's high school students. We're going to be talking about dual credit and advanced placement. To set the context a little bit for today's conversation, I'd like to share a few numbers with you from KDE's school report card. These are about participation in AP and dual credit coursework. In 2024, students in Kentucky took more than 56,000 AP courses and more than 136,000 dual credit courses. In both cases, these numbers are up from previous years and from previous years and previous years. It's also interesting to note that it is very common for students to take more than one AP or dual credit course while they're in high school. Sometimes they even do this during the same school year. Certainly, early post-secondary opportunities like AP and dual credit are growing in popularity and in participation across our state. So we're going to dig in to learn a little bit more about each one today. So our special guests today include experts in both AP and dual credit. Choosing the right early post-secondary pathway can feel overwhelming for students and families, and they need people like the experts that we have in the room today to help them. They have questions about earning college credit, about transferring credit, about college admissions, the costs of these courses, the long-term value. All of these things are common questions, and today's discussion is designed to help us answer them. Our panel of experts today represent K-12 and higher education. We've got university admissions, we've got transfer, and they'll all share some practical insights into how Kentucky's two most common early post-secondary opportunities work and how students earn college credit and what colleges consider during the admissions process, how we can help students stay informed about decisions that are based on their goals and their interests and their future plans. So whether you're a student or a parent or a counselor, an educator, dual credit coordinator, or advisor, we hope you leave today's session with a clearer understanding of these various opportunities and that you have greater confidence in helping students maximize the college credit that they earn while they're still in high school. Of course, during today's session, you're welcome to submit questions in the Q&A function. We'll do our best to answer them live if our time allows. But you all know how our time gets away during these webinars. So if we don't have time during the live session, we'll certainly follow up with you afterwards via email if we run out of time. So thanks again for joining us, and let's get started. Our first guests today are Erin Timmons and Stephanie Carter from Advance Kentucky. I want to welcome both of you here. I really appreciate you being here. And I'd like to start with Erin, and then we can go to Stephanie to tell us a little bit about your role with Advance Kentucky.
Nope. Thank you very much for having us, Robin. We appreciate it. I am Erin Timmons. I'm the Executive Director of Advance Kentucky. Advance Kentucky is a nonprofit under the Kentucky Science and Technology Corporation. We began in 2008 through a grant primarily funded through ExxonMobil. We have since become responsible for sustaining and securing our own funding. We are a current line item in the state budget, and our mission is to expand advanced coursework opportunities in math, science, English, computer science, and capstone courses for all students across the Commonwealth. So we have worked to date with over 100 high schools across Kentucky. We've served over 100,000 student enrollments. And no, we have both a school and an individual model. But to Robin's point, we are here today to give a small plugs for Advanced Kentucky's programming, but also just to speak about the general landscape of advanced placement as it applies to all students.
All right, welcome, Erin. I'm glad you're here. Stephanie, introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm Stephanie Carter, and I'm the lead for our program, the College Readiness Program. And I'm also the English and Capstone content director. And what that means is I support in content, in instructional material, in resources for the English Lang and Lit, but also in the capstone courses, which are the kind of the newer boutique courses, AP Research and AP Seminar, for teachers and students across the state. But then I also help support the English and math teachers as they are being led or being supported more closely by our content directors in math and science. And And our math teacher also supports our computer science. Our math director supports our computer science teachers as well. Thanks for having us.
All right, well, we're so glad that you're here, and I'm excited for us to dig in a little bit about the current landscape of AP. So I'm going to just turn things over to you all to share about the program, and then we'll follow up with a few questions at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And the slide deck I think is going to be made available to everyone. So we have links in here. So if you have something that we talk about that you want to dig more into, you can see that later on. So just quickly though here, AP at a glance. Advanced Placement currently offers 43 courses in 8 disciplines that spans math, science, English that Advanced Kentucky supports, but it also covers all of the social sciences, computer science, and then they've made new developments in the CTE arena now as some of their AP Career Kickstart courses have become launched. So courses are modeled on comparable introductory college courses. These are college level courses, but they are adapted to a high school environment. So I think that's important to know. Sometimes people have the impression that, oh, this is a college class, and it's treated how a college class would be done at the college level. And that's not exactly the truth. It really is a college level content that is taken down to the expectations of high school students, high school environments. College Board is very emphatic on all students who are willing and academically prepared to accept the challenge should be considered for enrollment in the AP course. We say that the makeup of an AP course should look like the makeup of any other class in your building. You shouldn't really know that you are entering an AP class compared to any other level class when you go into the classroom. And we think that's a departure here in recent years, especially of College Board's messaging. I think back when, if you've had, older friends and relatives that have taken AP courses, it used to be associated with AP was for the elite students. And that is certainly not the case these days. College Board has made tremendous strides in trying to adapt their messaging to the fact that all students that are prepared and have an interest should be accepted into the class and provided the necessary supports to be successful. One thing for AP is that there is no additional certification or graduate hours that are required for teachers to teach AP courses. College Board provides different trainings and workshops for teachers to receive additional training on the content and the course and exam, but there is not a specific certification that you have to complete to do so, with the exception of AP Seminar and AP Research teachers. All right, Stephanie, what would you like to talk about?
So what we've seen in our experiences as classroom teachers, everybody in our program was previously in a Kentucky public high school classroom. And what we've seen directly are that students are learning skills that carry them outside of high school into colleges and careers, including problem solving, including time management, figuring out how to study themselves, how they learn best. Another benefit of AP is that it's renowned worldwide. There is significant name recognition of College Board and the AP suite of courses. So most universities recognize it. 60 other countries across the United States is recognized, but 60 other countries worldwide recognize AP and have some kind of an AP exam credit policy. Those credit policies are established internally under the advisement of their college deans, under the advisement of their college admissions. Each college and university determines its own policy on an AP exam. But in the state of Kentucky, it is law that every Kentucky public high school, every Kentucky public institution award credit for qualifying scores on AP exams, and that credit has to be moving towards college graduation. It has to be credit that moves the student towards graduation, college graduation or degree. That law has been in effect for 20 years. I tell students when I talk to them, that law has been around since before they were here. That the legislature has honored the work that students are doing in AP courses. There's also this name is kind of lengthy, but there's an acceptable scores table that each university contributes to, so that you can know exactly what you're going to get credit for in the state of Kentucky for every university. And we've linked that again. You're going to get I think they're going to make available to you a PDF of this website, this PowerPoint slide deck. So you can get back to that on your own, but that is part of the institutional mechanisms that support AP in Kentucky. Another mechanism that supports AP in Kentucky is KEYS. KEYS, there's a bonus for students earning qualifying scores. Now there are some additional qualifiers. So for instance, they have to have been, a student has to be eligible for free or reduced lunch during any year of high school. They have to maintain a 2.5, so those things are also there, but they can earn up to $300 for every qualifying score, and there's no limit to the numbers. So in the state of Kentucky, the legislature, KEYS, lots of the institutions that were used to supporting students support AP and AP expansion and success, or at least reward that success. Go ahead. Oh, it's me. We have for you now is some information, and it's might be a little confusing because it'll say like finding number 3. So we've linked the College Board's research about this, but how I organized the slide deck was to start with the things that are most immediate impacts on students of actually taking an AP course, even if they don't earn a qualifying score. So there's maybe a stigma, maybe it's considered to be a negative of AP that if you don't get a qualifying score, you don't get college credit, as if college credit was the only value. And the research shows that that's not true. That even students that earn non-qualifying scores, see benefit from having taken those AP courses. So I kind of started with the most immediate impact. The most immediate impact of a student taking one AP course, even their first AP course, even if they don't earn a qualifying score, they're going more likely to score higher on subsequent exams. They're more likely to take a future AP exam. They're more likely to take a future AP course, and they're more likely to earn a qualifying score on that subsequent exam if they've taken one, even if they earn a 1 or a 2 on that exam, which is a non-qualifying score. Qualifying score means that it qualifies them to get credit at a university. Again, the second most immediate impact is on going to college enrollment. A student who earns a 1 or a 2, again, a non-qualifying score, is more, if they take an AP class and they earn a 1 or a 2, they are more likely to enroll in a 4-year college if in comparison to their peers that are academically similar in other ways. What that means is they are similar on standardized scores. They're similar on demographics like gender. They're similar on their high school GPA. Academically similar students who don't take AP are less likely to enroll in a 4-year university than students who take AP, even if those students only earn a 1 or a 2. Again, the idea is that there is a benefit to taking an AP course, even if the student does not earn a qualifying score. And then the last piece of research is about college GPA. Again, students who earn non-qualifying scores are more well prepared to be successful in those introductory college level coursework classes, the ones that the AP courses are set up to replace. If a student can't replace, they don't earn a qualifying score, so they don't get the college credit for that AP class, for that AP exam, they are more well prepared. Their GPA is higher. The scores they get in that grade is higher if they have taken AP in high school and not earned the qualifying score, and then had to take the course as an introductory college course at their institution. They're going to score higher in that course. And I think that feels natural, like that feels almost like, well, shouldn't they? But the research shows they do significantly higher across the content areas. So we think that there's a value to taking AP beyond earning that college credit, and we think the research supports that. this slide is actually talking about one of the, again, maybe the misconceptions about, AP is that you need to take as many as possible. You need to take everyone that's offered. And the research suggests that that's not necessarily where the greatest benefit is. But the greatest benefit in actually attaining a college degree in 4 years. So in entering university and leaving university in the 4-year time span, the greatest impact is between a student who takes no APs and the student that takes just one AP. That's the greatest impact. So at some point, there's a leveling off. We want students to take any advanced coursework that they're interested in, any advanced coursework that they feel capable in, any advanced coursework that they feel encouraged to take by a teacher, by a friend. We want them to take whatever they're interested in taking, whatever they feel comfortable in taking. But the research suggests that even just taking one has a greater impact and that the impact on taking more levels off, even if they continue to score qualifying scores, which is what the chart on the right shows. Those are, they continue to earn qualifying scores. The impact that it has on their ability to enter and achieve a college degree in 4 years levels off. So the research suggests there's benefit in taking AP courses. There's benefit in taking just trying one, and that there's benefit in trying courses that you're interested in and that you feel capable in or encouraged by a teacher to take. Okay. Erin, this is probably, you want to talk about AP Pre-Cal?
So within Kentucky, well, actually worldwide, the two newest courses to the College Board AP exam suite are AP Pre-Calculus and AP Seminar, especially AP Seminar as it focuses on an English 10 alternative. So teachers can choose to offer AP Seminar as their English 10 course because it meets all of the requirements of the English 10 curriculum. So these courses have seen huge enrollment takeoffs and success. Within Kentucky, you can see that there have been more than 3,000 test takers for pre-calculus and 2,800 for seminar this past administration cycle. And so far, based on the exam scores that have been scored, 77.5% have earned qualifying scores in pre-calculus, about 86% in seminar, and those are very close to the global rates, if not exceeding them. And I think that just shows the popularity that students are having and the success with these, as well as the teachers buy into the fact that these courses are accessible for all students. The other new offerings from College Board are focused on AP Business with Personal Finance and AP Cybersecurity. Those courses launched this year officially. AP Networking is in a pilot phase, but it will fully launch next year. These are courses that have been developed by College Board to reach into the CTE arena. So there are through course components to it. There is still an exam, a culminating exam. There's certifications and in industry ties to all of these courses. And this is just another way that College Board wants to make clear, and I think it's an expectation issue as well, that we want to make clear to students of if they're in a traditional high school, if they're in a tech school or ATC, that regardless of what pathway they might be on, that taking advanced rigorous coursework is still something that is appropriate and should be expected that they could be successful in. So Advanced Kentucky here provides the wraparound services to a lot of these teachers and students that are taking or offering AP for the first time. We recognize, to Stephanie's point about the earlier slides, that, some of the biggest impact comes in those first courses and the first course with a qualifying score of 3 or higher. We as Advanced Kentucky and the College Readiness Program look at working with schools to bring in more students to their AP classrooms. So we will attend parent nights, we talk to teachers, we talk to students, feeder classes, trying to get as many students that have an interest and a willingness to be successful and put forth the effort to be in those classes as possible. And many times we are very successful with that. The challenge for a lot of the teachers becomes, once the students are in the course, how to keep them engaged, how to keep them feeling motivated and successful. So we have a variety of services that that seek to do that. We have our content staff that make regular visits. We have mentors that we assign to first year and beginning year teachers. We have substantial professional development opportunities throughout the year, as well as academic opportunities for students as they work towards that exam. So you can see on this slide the 4 different areas that we impact teachers in schools. We do it academically, professionally, culturally through access and sustainment, as well as financially. So we provide significant support to teachers, schools, and students as they seek to grow their AP courses and success. And then finally, so our college readiness program is an application-driven program. Schools or teachers apply to our program, and based on our funding availability, we invite teachers to join for a 3-year commitment. However, all of our educational services can be available at cost to anyone across Kentucky, regardless of your public-private affiliation. So the 2 that we have that are most current and relevant are our AP Master Series, which is a monthly online offering in all of the AP Math, Science, English courses. We bring in content level experts from across the country to provide just-in-time professional development to teachers. As resources are shared, it gives the participants a very small, intimate, one-on-one-ish environment to interact with the presenters and ask questions. And then we have our in-person fall forum event, which will be the end of October. That's in Louisville. You can see the cost there on the screen, along with the links if you're interested in registering for the fall forum. That is very heavily pedagogy and content focused professional developments. It's a day and a half. It's a Friday, Saturday. And again, we bring in very highly regarded presenters to work with our teachers. So I believe that is all of our information, but I think that what we wanted to do is we wanted to say that, you know, advanced placement courses, that they are nationally, globally recognized products. They have experienced tremendous success. They have the research to back up what those courses provide and the benefits to that. We as Advanced Kentucky are happy to provide the wraparound services to help students and teachers become even more successful in their so we're very excited that you had us here, Robin. So thank you.
Well, I really appreciate the overview from both of you about AP opportunities. We have just a minute or 2 that we can finish up the conversation. I liked hearing about the updates, you know, Stephanie, to hear that, first of all, that AP has been around longer than most of our students who are in high school right now. You know, a lot of us have experience and knowledge of what it used to be, but I really liked hearing about, you know, the increased accessibility, that we want to open it up for all students to have the opportunity to participate in these courses, and then just all the many benefits, you know, especially related to post-secondary enrollment and success, you know, that we see with these courses. And, you know, there's so much emphasis right now on those skills like problem solving and time management, understanding yourself as a learner and what you need in order to be successful, and to have those things kind of baked into the system is really, really great. And I appreciate you all sharing that. I did just have one final question because there might be people on with us today who don't know about this. But if you all could share, either one of you, how many different courses are available to students in the suite of AP offerings? And then if you just have a final word that you want to share before we move on and bring Joel into the room.
Yeah, no, there are currently 43 courses that students could choose to take or schools could choose to offer.
Okay.
Those cover multiple courses in the math, science, English, world languages, arts, social studies, social sciences. So there's a tremendous amount of offerings. And I think, you know, to what you had mentioned about accessibility, these are not courses that are only for juniors and seniors. Many of these courses have entry points as early as their freshman year. So it's not something where they have to worry about all of them getting bottlenecked up there in that junior senior. The students can certainly choose to spread out those courses across their high school career if they so choose.
Okay.
And I would just say that they can, the AP suite can work in conjunction with dual credit offerings. It's not one or the other. We don't see it as that way at all. We see that, especially for those students in those early years, to get a good foundation of the types of the skills that are required to be successful in eventual dual credit classes. We see it more as a partnership, a building up together of students that are prepared to score well in those dual credit classes, because that's what we want. We want those strong GPAs when they leave with those college credits.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephanie, I appreciate you saying that. You all know we're going to have Joel Pace here in just a second talking about specifically about dual credit. And I know that he has the same message, is that it's just important for schools and for students to understand that all of these choices are available and they're all good and viable options for students, just depending on what their aspirations are and where their pathways are leading. So thank you all again for being with us today and sharing this great information. And we will be sure to share the slides with the links so that everybody can explore a bit more. So thanks again.
And the last thing I would say is that, and I think Stephanie mentioned this, a school does not have to solely choose like we are only going to be an AP only school or a dual credit only school. The many schools that we work with and that have very high success have a combination of both. So as we all said, it's finding that what works best for all the students and the school.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Stephanie and Aaron, thank you again for being here. And Joel, welcome to the webinar, my friend. This is Dr. Joel Pace, who is the director of the very successful Eagle Scholars Program at Morehead State University. He's also a member of our Dual Credit Advisory Council and just a great friend and colleague in the dual credit space. So Joel, I want you to just take an opportunity first to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your role there at Morehead State, and then we'll dig into dual credit.
Greetings from Morehead State. I hope everybody's enjoying the webinar so far. I've enjoyed hearing from Stephanie and Aaron as we share a very similar message. But at Morehead State, we have records of our dual credit going back over 30 years, and anecdotally longer than that. So we know that dual credit has been established, has been operational across the state and across the nation. And it has taken a major explosion over the last 10, 15 years, especially. But Morehead State seeks to be on we wanted to be on the cutting edge of that. So we did start our program a little bit early, revamped it, put some resources with it, and partnered with districts, primarily in the Morehead service region, but also across the state. I work very closely with other dual credit directors, public and private. And we seek to provide excellent opportunities for students across the state to take a variety of academically rigorous courses.
I think one of the key differences about dual credit and advanced placement courses is that relationship that the institution has with the high schools and how that can vary, when you go from institution to institution or high school to high school. So Joel, if you would, for anybody who might be unfamiliar with the particulars of dual credit, could you just briefly explain to us what it is and how it works?
Absolutely. Dual credit is is a college course. It's college credit. So with dual credit, it's also receiving high school credit and college credit for the same time frame, for the same course that's being taught. So, in the Morehead model and with most of the models across the state, we do certify high school faculty who meet the benchmarks of an adjunct faculty member on the college. We provide them with a college syllabus. So when they're teaching English 100 at Estill County High School, that's the same English 100 that we would teach on the Morehead State campus. It has the same assignments, it has the same assessments, same textbooks. And the students may be sitting in third period course with their teacher, but actually they're taking a college course with a college approved faculty member, and they have also met benchmarks as a college student. So they can be sitting in their classroom across the state, first period, seventh period, whatever. And that's a college classroom with a college professor teaching a college class, and they're doing college level work. So I think that's the main caveat. So the students do have to meet benchmark for the various institutions. The institutions will provide course syllabi, common assessments. If it's a general education class, there may be some general education assessments so we can compare how students are doing in college classrooms across the state. to what we're doing, the students taking the English 100 class on the Moorhead campus in Breckenridge Hall. And historically, our students consistently outperform our freshman class. And that information is not only specific to Moorhead State University, but also statewide and national, and using national data as well.
Yeah, I find that to be just an amazing statistic that dual credit students tend to outperform freshmen, especially freshmen who did not participate in dual credit or in AP. You know, they shared a lot of that data about the success of freshmen who've even taken AP courses. It's really kind of an amazing opportunity for students. Okay, Joel, let's talk just a little bit about some of the options that are available for Kentucky students. I know you know a lot about what Moorhead State is offering through dual credit, but I know you also know a lot about what other institutions are offering across the state. So talk a little bit about the kinds of opportunities that are out there for students.
Of course. And let me just take a second. I do kind of want to reframe this. This really isn't a AP versus dual credit. This is an AP plus dual credit. The one thing that all of us can agree on is that it's always better to take an academically rigorous course. So we want those students to take academically rigorous courses in all of their classes. And some of those will be dual credit, some of them may be AP, some of them may be articulated credit, which we're not going to talk about today. But it's always better to take the harder class than to take the easier class. And what we're finding at Moorhead State as well as across the state with dual credit is that really for any high school class, there is a similar or comparable dual credit course that can be offered with that. So, with all high schools are offering English and math and history and government and physical education, and you can take AP and dual credit in all of those. But when we get into the career pathways, KCTCS is doing an exceptional job of providing dual credit options, in the CTE area. You'll see more and more of the universities also expanding into the CTE area and providing dual credit options as well. So no matter if it's a welding class, no matter if it's a physical education or a foreign language, art, music, these courses are available with dual credit. And if you're at a high school and you're looking for partners, all it takes is a phone call or two, an email or two, and you have local providers that will assist you. And one of the great things is that if we can't find a dual credit option at a high school, usually the quickest way to offer an academically rigorous course may be to expand into an AP course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's really amazing how a high school who maybe wants to offer a particular course, I know that a lot of high schools are interested in kind of their local workforce needs, and you mentioned welding classes and some of those career pathway options is that they can begin to offer those kinds of courses in high school to address the local needs that they have. And they might partner with a 4-year institution, they might partner with a 2-year institution, but getting students a jump start on that credential that they're trying to achieve while they're still in high school can just be so valuable to them, I think. Joel, what advice would you give to school counselors who are working on their programs and trying to figure out how to run a really great dual credit program at the high school level?
Well, let me first off say it is way too late to look at expanding courses for the fall 26-27.
Don't call Joel Pace about that, right?
Actually, I'm working on some courses right now, but that should be the exception, not the rule. We do want to provide academically rigorous options for students. And a lot of times people get caught in situations and they need a response and they need it now. So today's the day. But if you're a high school and you're looking at how to better serve your students, I was talking with a principal yesterday, and she said that they're addressing some culture issues where that students may elect to take a dual credit class or take an academically rigorous or an AP class or take a rigorous course. But they may elect not to. Or, and we may have students that are in a class that may not be taking it for the dual credit. They may be taking it for high school credit only. But what we're also seeing is districts that saying, hey, if you're in this class, if you qualify for it, you are going to be in the most academically rigorous course, which is AP, which is dual credit, which is what it is. And, those districts are the ones that are my biggest partners. When they say, if you qualify for this course, you're going to take the dual credit option, the students will do that. And, that's what we're seeing. If you have students that qualify for it, don't let them sit in the class, do the same work, hear the same college level instruction, master and demonstrate mastery of college level content, and only receive high school credit. So if you have students that qualify, push them to be enrolled in the dual credit AP option. Don't think that your various courses are outside of the dual credit realm, because we offer a lot of crazy stuff. We got a lot of academic majors on our campus, so that if students are interested in these areas, we do have a dual credit option that we can usually work it out, to meet those students. And we would always encourage teachers to have advanced degrees and maybe take half of the coursework in your teaching subject. If you can take that graduate coursework in your teaching subject, it will allow you to teach dual credit. It will provide a great opportunity for your students.
Yeah, agreed. Joel, we've talked a whole lot about like the academic side of taking AP and dual credit courses, that it helps you with GPA. It helps you get an advanced start on meeting some of the requirements, that you need during your freshman year. We've talked about even getting a start or even a completion of a credential while you're still in high school. But I'm curious what other kinds of benefits that you have seen for students who take dual credit courses in terms of just their habits and their readiness for post-secondary education or even for career, if that's where they're headed.
We've seen a variety of results with students. We've seen some of them that knew since they were 5 years old that they wanted to major in this subject. They take a class in that subject and absolutely hate it. So now they're looking at, other options. What can I do? What do I enjoy? We've seen students, and one of the coolest things is we've seen students who never thought they could go to college, who didn't have family who went to college, who may not have, been encouraged because they're smart. They take a college class and they tell us, hey, I never thought this was an option, and now I'm going to college next fall.
Yeah.
And that changes a family tree. That's so impactful to see this opportunity these students didn't have. And now they realize that not only can I go to college, I can be successful. I can do this level of work that will allow me to take whatever major I'm interested in at whatever institution they choose to attend. And with the dual credit, the best way to be successful in college is to take college classes and be successful in them. So your English 100 and 200 teaches you how to write a research paper, and you'll do that in all your other courses. But we have students who never thought they could write a 10-page paper. They write 10-page papers and they do them well. And that is really encouraging.
Yeah, for those of us who might be first generation college goers, that really pulls on the heartstrings when you hear stories about students who didn't think they could, and then they found out they could. And it really does change the trajectory of a person's life. And it's a really good reason to do the kind of work that you do. Really encouraging to hear. I know that we're bumping up close on time. Time just gets away on these webinars, but I just wonder, Joel, if there's any final words that you have. I know you well, and I'm a little scared to ask you that and just give you an open mic to say whatever you'd like to say. But what words of wisdom or advice would you give?
do hard things. Encourage your students to take academically rigorous courses. And if it's, and don't get, don't get, don't get stuck looking at, it's got to be at this college, it's got to be at this community college, it's got to be with the pathway, it's got to be an AP. It needs to be whatever the most rigorous course is, that's your option. And if that's what it is today, that's what the option is today. And that's the best thing we can do for students. And that's what we need to look at. There's a lot of anecdotal evidence of, oh my gosh, there's advising issues with students. We do know that students, if they're selected into a selective or a boutique program, the dual credit, the AP may not count for progress in those programs. That's unfortunate. But if your student gets selected into an honors program at a college and they want them to take Honors English 100, then they are going to be very well prepared by their previous experience and success in a dual credit English 100 or an AP or an AP Lang or Lit. So we think those are great preparatory courses. If you get into those programs, great, wonderful. If you go to a college that doesn't accept your dual credit, if you go to a college that doesn't prefer AP, that's a choice. But your experience and performance in those courses better prepare you for college success. No matter how you look at it, that's going to be the main indicator of your college success.
Yeah, it's a win-win proposition. So thank you for saying that eloquently, Joel. All right. Well, thank you for being here. I'm going to move on now and bring Lisa Cox into the conversation. Lisa is a retired transfer expert from EKU, so congratulations on that. But she just came back for more, and so now she is a part-time senior fellow here at CPE on policy development. And I just really appreciate talking with Lisa about issues related to college admissions and transfer. She really has pretty much seen it and done it all in that realm. So Lisa, welcome.
Thank you.
So Lisa, we've heard a lot today about students who take both AP courses and dual credit courses. And I wanted to have somebody from the admissions side of the shop to talk a little bit about just how colleges think about this earned credit that students have when they come to the institutions. So can you just talk a little bit about what is the perspective that admissions and transfer folks have about this kind of earned credit?
Sure, yeah. From the missions perspective, it really tells us that student's college ready. And so it's going to, be one of those decisions that's easy. We just have to get the documentation of the credits that they've earned along the way.
Yeah.
As we move into the classroom environment, I would say it can be a variable depending on maybe the degree program a student is going to and an individual professor's perspective about college, credit that's earned prior to high school graduation.
Yeah.
And so, I think that there's always, when it's not taught at your institution, there's always going to be questions about academic rigor. That's just kind of the way that it is. But, overarchingly, it's a great thing. I think like the chart demonstrated with AP about the diminishing returns, there's diminishing returns about excess dual credit or AP credit as a combo together. Students can come in, you want to have credit and you want to get an advance, but it's got to be credit that goes towards the degree program that you're interested in.
Yeah. Joel mentioned the importance of advising, and sometimes, on the high school side of things, when people are trying to help students navigate that before they get to college, it's really important for those colleges to step in and help students understand how those credits are going to count and how they're going to be applied to their individual programs. And especially, I'm so happy that AP and dual credit courses are open to more and more students all the time. But when you have students who don't have any experience with college and who have parents who maybe don't have experience with college, there's a lot of information and communication, that needs to be that really needs to be at the heart of what we do. I really appreciate you saying what you did about perceiving these students as ready for college. If they've already passed a college course and you have this perception that that they're ready to be there. A lot of students do assume that all the college credits are going to just transfer the same way. So, what do you think students and families need to know about how dual credit and AP credits are evaluated and accepted? What are some of the secret tricks of the trade that we don't know?
Well, I mean, I'm going to go back to what I just said. Really, your intended major matters a lot. If you have an idea about what you want to major in, that can guide the kinds of courses that you're going to consider taking. What one of the hardest and I don't know, saddest conversations to have is looking at a student who's bringing in all this different kind of credit and seeing that, oh, guess what? You took 3 history classes, but really only one's going to apply towards the general education that you need. Now, we've got a lot of majors that have free electives. And so you can bring in that college level credit. It goes towards 120 hours. But there's some majors that are so prescribed and so intense that any of that excess, credit is just really extra stuff that they're carrying along with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. You please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things about this that makes it kind of difficult is that students in high school don't always know what they want to major in when they get there. So, what advice would you give to students in that situation?
I think that there's some fundamental courses that are just going to be probably accepted regardless. Your first 2 English classes. Generally, some sort of oral communication is not going to be specific. There's a few majors that might have that. Mathematics, I mean, college algebra is a safe kind of major. Sometimes it's above the level that's what's required for a degree program. And some programs might want statistics instead, but that can be a good foundation. And then just dabbling within some of those kind of, social science or arts and humanities, taking, one from each of those areas. But then in the end, if there is an opportunity to take something that's in a major area that you might be interested in, I think one of our other speakers, mentioned something about that you get an idea of whether you really like that or not. And so that can really help guide you in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not necessarily that the credit is lost. It just might not apply in the way that you think it will, or the way maybe that you hope it would. I think a lot of high school students might have the misconception that all credit is created equal. That if one history course is good, then 3 history courses must be great. When
Right.
you look at a program, and that's just not necessarily the case. And so,
Unless you're a history major, right?
yeah, right.
The only other thing I wanted to note is that with AP credit, that is credit, but there's no letter grade associated with it. And so occasionally you'll have a degree program that might say requires a C or higher in college algebra or something. Depending on, the institution, there still can be ways to allow that to count, but it's one of those things that where the degree audit, the way it's set up, the student might first look and go, what? I'm not getting credit for that. But sometimes just a good conversation with your academic advisor can help.
All right, just to wind down our conversation, Lisa, what advice would you give to students and to school counselors who are advising students about the value and the participation in dual credit and AP coursework?
Sure. I mean, I think that it is an investment. And so it's something that you want to, don't want to necessarily earn the most credits. You want to earn the credits that are going to help advance you. Having said that, if you don't know what you want to do, having that that experience of what a college level course might be prior to entering college can be really good. It kind of challenges you. Having to meet deadlines that don't have wiggle room with them. Some of those things that our high school students have, so it's definitely worth considering. And I think it's an opportunity that more and more students are becoming open to.
Yeah, I think so too. I think more students are learning that it's possible to participate in AP and dual credit coursework, and maybe putting that a little bit on their radar before they graduate from high school. And I just think the value that you mentioned of, colleges look at students who have participated in these kinds of programs as being ready. It sort of signals their readiness and their academic preparation, but also their kind of social and emotional preparation for the type of coursework that they're going to have. And I think even though in both cases, these courses count as college, that there's just something good and familiar about taking that in a high school environment where you have the
Yes.
support of counselors and teachers who are familiar and, maybe that you've known for a while, and you might feel comfortable talking with them about, your future aspirations and that sort of thing. So it might take a little bit of the fear level down, if you can do that in the safety of a high school, that kind of protected environment, and then feeling more confident about your ability to do well, when you enroll in college. So there's just so many benefits that we could talk about. But I think also a lot of misconceptions that students and their families need to be aware of in order to make the very most of that opportunity. So Lisa, thanks again for being here, and appreciate your input. Heather, if you want to, we can go on now to our wrap up slides. We're running out of time here. We can go to our wrap up slides. I do want to let you all know that our webinar series for this year is titled Aligning Early Post-Secondary Opportunities, Advising and Resources, Kentucky's College Access and Success Series. So if you would like to register for the webinar and you have not registered for the entire series, there is a QR code there on the screen that you can use to register. And I wanted to let you know also that we have another webinar coming up on the 18th, 2 weeks from today. It's called Supporting Student Success Through Early Post-Secondary Opportunities. My colleague Mitzi Holland, who's the director of KAA, will be facilitating that webinar, and we hope to see all of you there. All right, and then to wrap things up, we do have an evaluation that you can complete, and the link to it is in the chat, and you can also get to it from this QR code. Remember that when you fill out the evaluation, it also includes the request for ELA credit, so be sure to click that box if that is something that you need. So I want to just say again a big thank you to all of our panelists today. I really appreciate Erin Timmons and Stephanie Carter from Advanced Kentucky. Appreciate all of the introduction to all the opportunities that are available through AP in our state. And then a big thank you to Joel Pace for being here to talk about dual credit and the great opportunities that are available there. I think it's a good time to be a Kentuckian. Thank you also to Lisa for helping us to understand a little bit more about transferability of AP and dual credit courses. As always, feel free to reach out to me or any of our panelists if you have questions about any of the content from today. Thanks again for being here today, and have a great rest of your day.